According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, honeybees pollinate 80% of our flowering crops, which constitute 1/3 of everything we eat.
Honeybees account for approximately $15 billion worth of pollination value for U.S. crops. To put that in perspective, approximately 30% of the produce you see in grocery stores and farmers markets are due to honeybee and other insect pollinators. This would include berries, almonds, fruits, and many other vegetables. Sioux bee honey members are not only vital to the pollination process, but they also account for approximately 25% of the U.S. honey production and therefore are vital to maintaining a healthy bee population for future generations. For those plants that are dependent upon honeybee pollination, it takes millions and billions of honeybees throughout the summer when flowers are blooming to successfully pollinate all those plants. A bee's life is only 2 to 4 weeks in the summer. They virtually work themselves to death. They are so vital to not only pollination and honey production, but just to the ag industry in general.
Bees are of inestimable value as agents of pollination, and many plants are entirely dependent on them for their reproduction.
Plants require pollination to get genes from one plant to another plant. Most flowering plants, they depend on insects to transfer that pollen, or in some cases a hummingbird or a bat, but primarily insects to transfer that pollen to the female flower. And that is why the flowers are showy and colorful, smell good, and that is to attract these insect pollinators to that flower to get pollen, and when they visit another flower to get that nectar or whatever, they're transferring that pollen there.
In addition to playing a major role in food production, people have been using honey from honeybees for various uses over 2,000 or more years.
Honey's been used for medicinal purposes way back in ancient Egypt, not only for medicinal purposes, but there's a lot of other non-honey food uses too. This would include facial lotions, hand lotions, hair conditioners, things of that nature. There's records back to ancient Egypt around 5000 BC where cave paintings indicate early beekeeping.
In recent years, commercial honeybee hives have suffered from colony collapse disorder, which, for unknown reasons, left many bee boxes empty.
Bees can die from many different things, but colony collapse is different in that the bees don't seem to die at the hive. They disappear, and because of that, it's harder to determine what has killed these bees or why they have not returned. CCD, especially because the specific cause is still unknown, it's a greater financial investment and time investment on the beekeepers to keep their bees healthy. And in doing that, that limits the number of bee colonies they can maintain. So it does impact the amount of production and the cost of production both.
As an industry leader, the Sioux Honey Association is greatly concerned about the declining bee populations and colony collapse disorder.
Sioux Honey Association was formed in 1921 by 5 beekeepers in the Sioux City, Iowa area. Today, there are approximately 300 member beekeepers in the United States. Sioux Bee Honey launched the Support the USA Honeybee initiative to help inform consumers about the important role honeybees play in U.S. agriculture. The seal is represented on bottles of Sioux Bee Honey and all marketing materials. As a leader in the honey industry, Sioux Bee Honey provides information to consumers and answers questions about honey through numerous channels such as Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, email newsletters, Sioux Bee Honey Club membership, national magazines, and our website at siouxbee.com. Sioux Bee Honey will continue to support American beekeepers and American agriculture. It's a big part of our heritage, and we remain strongly committed to the dedicated beekeepers in the Sioux Bee Honey family. Sioux Bee Honey has been packing a product of all USA honey since 1921, and it's been on the front of every one of our labels. All you have to do is look on the front of a bottle of our Sioux Bee Honey, and you will notice that it says Product of USA.
Sioux Bee Honey, produced by Sioux Honey Association, comes from USA beekeepers, many of whom have been members of the Sioux Honey Association Cooperative for generations.
The membership that exists down at Sioux Honey is 300 plus strong. So what you have there is you have a tremendous resource as far as beekeeping knowledge is concerned that goes back decades and decades and decades. Some of the most talented beekeepers in the United States belong to this association and are located in some of the best honey producing territory in the nation. The grade A honey and the pureness of the product that Sioux Honey puts out, we wouldn't have it any other way other than a natural product.
The Sioux Honey Association features an in-house, state-of-the-art testing laboratory where samples are graded for quality, clarity, type, flavor, moisture, and color.
The testing we do in our laboratory is to test and prove the purity of the honey we receive. At the same time, we are testing the safety of the honey we receive by testing for residues of antibiotics or pesticides that may come from their environment. Another important aspect of the testing we do is to test for the origin of the honey. By determining what the origin of the pollen within the honey is, we can often determine the geographic source of that honey and prove that it is where it's documented from.
Sioux Bee Honey continues to support the American honeybee, USA beekeepers, and American agriculture.
Some of the trends that I'm currently seeing in the industry is the fact that millennials are really interested in raw honey. All natural, pure product that they know is 100% pure raw honey.